Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Advance, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a very serious show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. Well, folks, this is going to be a serious one, right? And I think that various people's views may break in various directions depending on where you stand on this entire subject matter. But as you guys know, the WNBA is back, and the biggest star in the WNBA is Caitlin Clark. All right, there's no debating this. If you look at the crowd size that she brings in, the record numbers of attendance, viewership, she's been a phenomenon unto herself, right? And has really helped uplift the league from a rating standpoint. And of course, the other players, great players that have built a foundation that she's now able to take to the next level. She's paid homage to a lot of players in the past, but there's also a player worth talking about as well, in Angel Reese. And it seems like these two have had a rivalry going back to their collegiate days, and it just continued on into the NBA. So recently they played a game, and let me just quickly state this: I don't watch the WNBA, but I'm aware of this story. So they played a game, and I was actually, when I was away this week, or last week rather, in New York, it was hard to kind of follow these stories. So I would see it, but then I didn't really pay much attention to it. So now that I'm back, I can actually sit down and really take my time and understand what has been going on. But I know this story. So apparently there was a play where they were playing, and Caitlin Clark hard fouled Angel Reese, and then she jumped up quickly off the floor, and then they had to be separated. Various teammates got involved. And that really kicked off this entire saga, right? And then people started weighing in from various points. Oh, you know, does Angel Reese hate Caitlin Clark? Does Caitlin Clark hate this? And everybody's been giving their 2 cents on the situation. But then one particular person decided to weigh in, and that's former ESPN employee, former NFL quarterback in RGIII, who used to play for the Washington Redskins, but now I think they're called the Washington Commanders. So he weighed in, right? And his comments stirred up a lot of controversy. But initially, he weighed in via a post that he put on his Instagram. Not his Instagram, his Twitter. And I want to quickly read it for you guys. It says the following: after watching Caitlin Clark's flagrant foul on Angel Reese in the aftermath, there's no way Angel Reese can continue the lie that she doesn't dislike Caitlin Clark. I know what hatred looks like. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Not some basketball rivalry hate either. Hate. Now, this particular post, folks, generated 13 million views on Twitter, right? And it was those posts that really kicked it off, because people like Des Bryant responded to him, and then RG3 responded back to him, and then things just got going. And then RG3 then took to his podcast, which I think is called Pocket Watching, something like that, and he was on there and he was talking about it. Now, to give you guys the backdrop, a white lady in the back, who I assume is his wife, was sitting in the back, right? So she's like on a couch next to a wall, and RG3 is giving his views, which from an optical standpoint came off a certain way to certain people. And some of those people that didn't like the optics of it and what he was saying was Ryan Clark. But before we even get into what Ryan had to say, I want to play what RG3 had to say on his show that caused Ryan Clark to then respond to him. So take a listen to what RG3 had to say there.
So where was this type of reaction last year when Angel Reese got chokeslammed by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun? Y'all remember that? She got fouled so hard, they kicked Aaliyah Thomas out the game with a flagrant 2 foul. What did Angel Reese do? Nothing. She didn't get up and try to swing on her. You know why? The reaction was different because of who did it. And there is a lot of history there with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. You guys remember last year when Angel Reese celebrated Kennedy Carter getting that flagrant foul on the hip check against Caitlin Clark? You remember that? On the sideline, just, yeah, baby, get her, you get her. Who celebrates like that for a flagrant foul on another player if they don't dislike that player? Okay, you want some more evidence? Here's some more evidence. Remember last year when they were talking about who gets the credit for the expansion and the eyeballs and the popularity boost of women's basketball, not just the WNBA, but women's basketball in general, because of the spike in the women's NCAA tournament and in WNBA viewership. A lot of people were attributing that to Caitlin Clark, and rightfully so. This is what Angel Reese had to say, and I quote, "People are talking about women's basketball. You never would think they'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to the games. We got celebrities coming to the games, sold out arenas just because of one single game. Just looking at that, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on to be that for my teammates. I know I'll go down in history. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, the reason we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too. I want y'all to realize that." Now, I heard a lot of people say that I or others have made Angel Reese the villain. Did you not just hear herself call herself the bad guy? She called herself the villain. I'm not making her the villain. She's making herself the villain.
So you heard what RG3 had to say. So then Ryan Clark heard that, and he decided to go on his Pivot podcast. And if you know anything about Ryan Clark, especially when it comes to issues like this, he doesn't hold back. He says exactly what he thinks. And he took it to the next level. But before we even get into what Ryan had to say, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports with over 10 million members. PrizePicks makes it easy to get real money action on the sports and players you love. You pick more or less on at least 2 for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. For example, this week on PrizePicks, I'm looking at the upcoming NBA schedule and selecting Stephen Curry for more than 29 points and Kevin Durant for more than 27 points and Anthony Davis for more than 12 rebounds and Luka Doncic for more than 8 assists. If you're like me and you like to play it safe, you'll love PrizePicks' new feature, Flex Plays. It's the safest way to play. You can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. Plus, you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. On top of this, PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money as quick as in 15 minutes. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to play what Ryan Clark had to say, and he didn't mince words. He didn't dance around the issue. He stated exactly what he thought and what he believes are some of RG3's motivations to take the positions that he's taken. Take a listen to what Ryan Clark had to say here.
We moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate. And so now, though, when RG3 jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, and now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story. Right. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what Black women have to endure in this country, about what young Black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom. Now, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WNBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now, if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what Black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now this young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RGIII, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her. Right. I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what Black women deal with a lot from Black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over Black women by denigrating Black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the Black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes. And I think this is what I'd like RG3 to know, that no matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less Black than me.
Fantastic. So you heard what he had to say. Okay, let's unpack this issue. There are a lot of things at play here. Okay, let's talk about the optics of it. I'm just kind of playing mind reader right now and just trying to imagine what Ryan Clark was seeing as he was watching that clip from RG3. Here you have a Black guy, former NFL player, former ESPN analyst, who's taking these positions against a Black female athlete in Angel Reese. From a cultural, racial standpoint, that rubs some people the wrong way. Some people don't care. Some people, it rubs them the wrong way. And then you now juxtapose his views with the optics of his white wife sitting behind him. And I think people like Ryan Clark listening to RG3 speak in that particular context will take issue with him. And I think that is what prompted Ryan Clark to say what he said, because I think Ryan's comments were essentially centered on what he believes are the motivations behind RG3's views, right? That's what I think. He also gave the example towards the end where he spoke about the days when they used to work together and RG3 would start talking about milk and how much he loves milk and all of that stuff, right? He was bringing that up, I believe, to essentially say that, look, this guy has a thing for white women, okay? And he has no issue with having a slant against Black women. That's what I believe Ryan Clark was saying. RG3, on the other hand, is just possibly saying, hey, look, I think this, I think that. Now, I don't want to turn RG3 into a baby because he's a grown-ass man. Not only is he a grown-ass man, he lives in the United States. So there's certain things that he would be privy to. There's no way on God's green earth that you're going to convince me that RG3 wasn't aware of the optics of it all. Taking that position, given your white wife was sitting behind you, given some of the things that have been said about you historically, there's no way you can tell me you don't understand where people are coming from. Not saying they're right or they're wrong, but there's no way you can tell me you don't understand that, right? I find that to be a childish position to take, if that's the position that you're taking, right? That would be childish. Now, What's my conclusion on all of this? Look, I think Ryan Clark is speaking for a particular constituency of people out there that share his views. And I think that RG3 is speaking for a particular contingency of people out there that share his views. Now, let's take it a step further, because I'm not going to be up here twerking, because I don't care one way or the other, because this story ain't got nothing to do with me. There's some people that think that people like Ryan Clark are too racially charged, in the sense that, oh, everything he says, he's always looking at it from a racial standpoint. Oh, they're always making this about, there are people that think that. I also know that there are people out there that think that people like RG3, black men who make it their business to go out there and say things, whether it be about black people or black women in specific, that echo some of the sentiments that their white counterparts feel, but they're unwilling to say, but they say it. So therefore it's okay. I think that there are people that look at RG3 like that. Like, you're just out here parroting some of these views that white people have against blacks, but they can't say it because it wouldn't be socially or politically correct, but you can. So therefore you go out there and do their bidding. This is the reality of the world, folks. There are people that think all of this. Now, in my personal opinion, I'm not as invested into this Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese drama, because, as I said, I don't even watch the WNBA. I only started paying attention to it last year. So it doesn't resonate with me to that level, but I am aware of what's going on. I'm not going to walk around and stick my head in the sand and act like, oh, I don't know what. No, I understand what's going on. I understand what's going on. Now, it's also important to say this. Just because you're a black guy married to a white woman, that doesn't mean that you're always going to support white people over black. There's some black guys that are married to black women and still feel this way. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. I don't think it's a one size fit all solution, but this thing does happen. And I think that a lot of blacks are upset with RG3 because it's like, Des Bryant said it in his comment. He's like, bro, you must understand that there's a racial element to all of this. And there's always a racial element to almost everything in America. Let me tell y'all something. I was just recently there, as I told you guys, for my sister's graduation in New York City. And I hadn't been to the States since then in 5 years. And when I was there, man, I was at her, because she had two graduation ceremonies, one at Parsons, one at the new school. And I'm listening to some of the speakers. Bro, even in the speeches, there's a political angle in there too. America is highly politicized. Highly. Everything is about politics. Everything is about race. Whether people want to admit it or not, we can play the game, we can dance around it. I'm going to call it like it is, because I don't lose anything by telling you the damn truth. It's there. It is woven into the fabric of society on every single level. So it's just business as usual in the States. It is just business as usual. And this situation here is yet another example of a bigger issue that resides in the United States. That is the bloody fact. These two here that you see going back and forth won't be the first, and they definitely won't be the last. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch you guys on the next show. Peace.